Hi guys, and welcome to this video. So in this video we're going to explore the general form of a straight line. Now we've already learned in year 7 that you can express fractions in many ways. So equivalent fractions are identical fractions expressed in a different way. For example, 3/4 can be expressed in many forms. We can express it with a denominator of 20 or 16 or 40 or 28 or even 8. But what you do to one side, of course, you have to do to the other. So, you've expressed it in a different way, but it's exactly the same fraction. We can do this with straight lines. So straight lines can be written in many forms. We already know one form. We've seen the gradient intercept form. So this line is expressed with a gradient and an intercept quite nicely, and we call it y equals mx plus b, or gradient intercept form. That is just one way we can express that straight line. So here we have, two different looking lines, but if you look closely, they're exactly the same thing. The top one we've seen before, so that's in your y equals mx plus b form. And this other one is expressed a little bit differently. You notice that it equals 0. We've got everything to one side, and we have the x's, the y's, and the constant term together. So what you need to do is rearrange the formula or the equation and let it equal 0. So ax plus by plus c equals 0 is the general form of a straight line. So we know that a, b, and c, or a and b are the coefficients of x and y, but we need to make sure that the x value is positive. So this part here means that a is greater than 0, so the coefficient of x is going to be a positive number. And we don't work with fractions, so all a, b, and c, they all have to be a whole number or an integer. So basically it's just another way to write a straight line. So that's an equation, so is that, and they express a straight line. Okay, so we have two equations, both in gradient intercept form. We want to rewrite that into general form, so what we need to do is a bit of rearranging and let it equal 0. So the first one, just write the equation. Notice that the x value is positive, so we want to have that on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to get this whole thing and write it on the left and rewrite that on the right-hand side. It's the same expression, just written in a different format. Then the last side is to subtract the y, so we want to get this y onto the left-hand side of the equation. That's a positive y, so we need to get it to the other side by subtracting a y. If you subtract a y from that side, you must subtract a y from the other side, and there is our straight line form. So all we've done is rearrange this particular equation into a different form. Okay, the next one has a fraction in it. We don't want fractions. We want every single term to be an integer, or the coefficients to be an integer. So how might we get rid of that 2 on the bottom? Think about, a 2 on the bottom. If we multiply everything by 2, that will get rid of the 2 on the bottom. So we multiply that by 2, multiply negative a half x by 2, and we need to multiply that by 2. So what you do to one side, you do to the other, and in this case we're multiplying everything by 2. This eliminates the 2 on the denominator. So this multiplied by 2 is 2y. This multiplied by 2 is actually negative 1x. And this multiplied by 2 is positive 2. So we're on our way. Now we need to eliminate things from one side, get them all to the other side. This is a negative x, remember we need it to be positive. So if we get it to the other side, that would in fact be a positive. So a negative x, to get rid of that negative x, we add x to that side, we must add x to that side. So we have x plus 2y is equal to 2. So we need to now get rid of that 2 because that's all by itself. We want to get it with all the other terms. So the opposite of a positive 2 is a minus 2. So let's subtract 2 from both sides. And there we go. There's our equation in general form. Okay, the next question is rewriting this into our normal form that we've seen, y equals mx plus b, and then state the gradient and the y-intercept. So now y equals mx plus b, we already know what the gradient is straight away, and we already know where it crosses the y-axis. In general form, it's a little bit different. We can't straight away write down what the gradient and y-intercept is. We might have to do a bit of rearranging and then finding out what it is in gradient intercept form. Okay, so step 1, write the equation. Next step is we want to isolate or have the y term all by itself. So if I add 3y to this side, I need to add 3y here. 0 plus 3y is 3y. They will be eliminated. So we have 5x plus 9 is equal to 3y. Next line is just swapping the expressions. We like to say a pronumeral equals, so like y equals. So we'll have that on the left-hand side. So all we've done is, rewritten the equation in the reverse form, which is totally fine. It's like when you have x equals 3 or 3 minus x. It's the same thing, but we like to write the pronumeral on the left. This 3y needs to be divided by 3 to isolate it to a 1y. So dividing everything by 3, so dividing that by 3, we get this. Dividing this by 3, we get 5/3 x. And dividing that by 3, we get a positive 3. So now it's in the form y equals mx plus b. Coefficient of x is your m, and your constant term is in fact where it crosses the y-axis, the y-intercept. So there's your gradient and there's your y-intercept. Well, there you have it. That video just demonstrated how to go from general form to gradient intercept form, and also gradient intercept form into general form. Thanks for watching.